Welcome in. This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening to the show. Thanks so much for making us part of your day. I'm Doug Gottlieb, in for Colin Cowherd, alongside the incredibly insightful and talented Joy Taylor. We're so happy to be with you on a Friday, especially off of what was a crazy day with the NBA trade deadline and an even crazier night where LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo first selected their rosters, then pulled off a trade, and there was discussion of tampering, and there was no disguising of it because it was just for the All-Star game. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Nothing to do with real life. And then we had the Lakers versus the Celtics, the greatest and longest-standing rivalry in the history of the league, which, goes back to the Anthony Davis story, which pervaded over the NBA for the last week and a half. And the final shot of the game was by a former Celtic who just happens to be arguably the worst shooter on the floor at the time for the Lakers, beating the Celtics and maybe saving the Lakers season. Exhausting, but exhilarating all at the same time. What a random Thursday night in the middle of February off of the Super Bowl. Joy, good morning to you.
Good morning. It's the night we deserved after the last 2 weeks.
I like that, the night we deserved. Couldn't have put it any better. I've determined, though, that the LeBron James era didn't start last July when he signed on. Remember Magic Johnson waiting outside the house supposedly an hour before go time. And then walks in and they talk for 3 hours and a deal is consummated and Paul George announces he's staying and, all right, this is the plan, and they slowly executed the plan. It didn't start then. That was the signing. But it starts now. And the reason I know it starts now is because what has happened with the Lakers is the same thing that has happened at my place of work. It's the same thing that's happened in the place where Colin and I both used to work. It's the same thing that happens sometimes where you work. It happens in pro sports franchises where the new boss comes in. This happens, but the new boss comes in. And the first 6 months, the first 3 months, they're just everybody's friend. They just get to know people. They get to know, Bonnie, who handles my audio. They get to know Bonnie. They get to, John Goulet, we used to work together. They know people. Where do you live now? What do you do? What would you change about your job? They ask smart questions, and they're more listeners. They're wallflowers. That's what you do for the first 3 months. And then the next 3 months, you put together kind of a plan. I like this. I don't like this. This is what we want to do. And then 6 months in, you call everybody in a meeting. And you fire somebody. And you shake things up. And you appoint somebody else in charge. And then everybody goes back to their desk and they start firing off emails. They start preparing their resume because they don't know if they're next. Right? They don't know. Wait, the guy who was the boss, who the big boss just fired, he liked me. And the new guy didn't like me. Hell, I might be next. Or maybe it's the opposite. He didn't like me. He's gone. Happy days are here again. I'm good with the new boss. This is Business 101. This is New CEO 101. There's actually a book about this. It's called The First 90 Days. And the first 90 days, I'll save you a quick read. It's a good read. You should pick it up, especially if you're going to a new place of work. The idea is you got to understand and absorb some of the new culture before you ever try and think about installing your own beliefs or your own culture. Because you got to understand what you're dealing with. That's what LeBron James did. Did you watch them play last night? When they're down 18 points in the second quarter, were they moving the ball and playing like the Golden State Warriors? No. They were playing like the Cavs. They were playing like the Heat. They were playing like the Cavs before, which is, let's get the ball to number 23. And let's all space out the floor and let him make plays for us. And just try and make shots. Try and get stops. He's going to create all our offense. Why? Because that's how LeBron plays. Like, look, the playbook is the same no matter where he goes. Why? Because that's what you didn't hire LeBron James to be a ball mover, right? You're not going to teach any old dog, especially one who has won as much, competed at that high level, new tricks. That's just not how he's wired. You ain't rewiring this deal. He is what he is. Chris Ballard took over the Indianapolis Colts. It's going back a couple years ago. Did he fire Chuck Pagano right away? No. No. He began the process of gutting and remaking his roster, acquiring draft picks, cap space, and slowly executed his plan. And then before this season, he fired his coach and thought, I'm going to hire Josh McDaniels, a quarterback guru, to go along with my super bright quarterback. That didn't work out. He went to his plan B. It ends up hiring a guy in Frank Reich, who's former quarterback guru, and it worked out quite well. Now, look, it wasn't a 6-month plan, but the idea was he was still kind of a wallflower the first couple of months, kind of figuring out the lay of the land, had a plan, and slowly executed that plan. And then when he made the big move, it was the first in this, and eventually he'll bring in all his guys. That's what they all do. They go place to place to place, and they bring with them people who worked with them previously. I've worked in places in radio. I've worked in places in television. I know people in business and in sports. It's all the same. This is the way it works with a new boss. First couple months, they're everybody's friend. Next couple months, they start planning and plotting and trying to understand, how can I execute ultimately my plan? 6 months in, big firing, big change. And then slowly they start bringing in their old guys who know how they operate, know how to execute, and know what the boss likes and what he doesn't like. And that's what LeBron James is doing. Was it an ugly and weird week? Absolutely. Are there far more things to talk about in terms of how the Lakers managed today, waking up knowing that their season could have been an abject disaster had they lost last night, had Rondo not picked up the basketball that was loose after a bad shot when LeBron doesn't touch the ball in the last possession of the game? Sure. But that's not what happened. This is why sports is so much better than real life. We have all this to talk about, and we can only react to the fact that the ball did go through the basket. If you missed it, here's the final call of the Lakers' triumphant come-from-behind win after a wild week in Los Angeles.
Here's Ingram, he got the step. Shot blocked by Horford. Here's Rondo, he scores! Buzzer! A stutter as the Lakers, coming off the 42-point loss, coming off all the trade speculation, come to Boston and defeat the Celtics 129-128 on a last-second shot by the one-time Celtic, Rajon Rondo.
That's the way to come home. That's the way to remind people what you did for them.
I don't know what Chris Webber's talking about because Rajon Rondo never did that for the Boston Celtics. But I do know that Marv encapsulated it perfectly. They lost by 42 points, and they find a way to escape and to survive. And what an incredible game. What an incredible Thursday night. Just the whole day was exhausting and exhilarating all at the same time. The whole day, would the Pelicans pick up the phone and re-engage in trade discussion? It doesn't happen. Then you have the All-Star draft, and you have LeBron's first couple selections all being guys who could essentially be Lakers next year if they so desired to do so. And then you have a game where they fall behind by 18 points. And then you have LeBron and Kyle Kuzma, who's part of that deal. I didn't think should be included in the deal. Ends up, hitting a bunch of 5 threes on the night. And then even in the last possession, Brandon Ingram, also reportedly part of the deal, chooses to go away from LeBron James, who's being face guarded, but you could have found a way to get him the ball. Drives in, takes a contested shot, it gets bobbled around, and Rondo of all guys. Rondo's the guy who, when he lets a jump shot go, you go, no. Yes. That's how it ended. Whew. But essentially, the LeBron James era starts now. It does. Whether the plan is going to play out or he's able to execute it the way that he and Rich Paul thought it would play out, the fact is that they did shake some things up. They've checked Luke Walton. Hey, man, we don't necessarily love playing for you. They've checked all of those young guys. Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, you're all replaceable. They've shaken guys up. Michael Beasley, you like playing selfishly down the stretch against the Warriors when I'm not playing? We see you. You're gone. Sometimes there's some ancillary guys, like Zubac, who ends up getting moved in the deal. That happens. Sometimes guys lose their job. They don't deserve to lose their job when the new boss comes in. But